I designed this assignment where students have to create a digital object. I explained to them what that is. That's similar to having a digital artifact. It could be any kind of sort of media form that you find on the web or that you create. But I asked them, every module they do a discussion, but then they also create a digital object. The idea of the digital object is, how does this visual object, or it could be an audio file, what have you, how does that sort of get at the issue we're talking about in that module? So it's really been fascinating, the kinds of topics we've been coming up with. They could submit something they create in Photoshop or some other design program, but I also encourage them. I say, I don't require them, but I say if you want to use generative AI, please feel free to do that. And this is something I really want to build it into the course even more. But by giving them that choice, what I've noticed is that a lot of the digital objects are AI generated, and they're welcome to do it. And then they talk about it. They talk about the process. They talk about how it impacts their art. They talk about it as an art form or something that's not their art. It's something very different. And here's an example that I think really encapsulates this, and it shows how creative this is, and it also shows the creative potential, the artistic potential, and the fact that there is this blurring of boundaries in terms of what's original and what's not. So this object here, it's a photo collage created by a student in the course, Jack. I have his permission to share this. And he's created he's traveled the world and created hundreds of images from his travels, and he creates photo collages. So this is something that he produced. This is not AI generated. Beautiful image called Moonrise. And if you really look at it, you can see how he collaged it together. So some really traditional techniques. Collage was like the centerpiece of sort of art in the 20th century, still carries over with us today. But because I had asked him to do a digital object, I gave him the freedom to explore. And this is someone, by the way, who he's really not thrilled with AI, so he kind of builds that into his conversation about it. But he explored it. So on this side, you're seeing two artworks that are AI generated based on his original artwork. So think of sort of the potential there for conversations about what's original, what's not, how do we take an artwork, do something else with it. That's another sort of foundation of the art world too. That's really what Jasper Johns always talked about, do something and then do something else to it. So it's just fascinating, the depth, sort of the complexity that they get into by exploring AI. And not saying don't use it, but by saying, yeah, feel free to use it, but explain your process. I think that gets to something really interesting and exciting in the course.
In some of the classes, I'm having them take their paper, put it into AI, and talk about the differences, and talk about how they felt about what it changed. It's only been one assignment so far in this new class, but every student that I've graded so far said, I don't like what it did. I'm not going to use that again. So, which is what I was hoping. Obviously, as AI gets better, who knows? But right now, they're like, it took all the personality out. It used words I would never use. Starting next term, they'll have an alternate assignment, which is, if you don't want to use it, write about why you won't use it, but make sure you're backing that up with a scholarly article. And I think it's fair to ask that even of a lower level student. And so I'm using the digital communication cultures and careers. I'm about to try to add it to writing for digital media, television and culture, and data visualization.
Digital media arts course. Now this is like it's third year. It's a comprehensive overview of the field. All of the different disciplines, and there are many of them in the digital media arts, including its interaction in the performing arts is covered. So film, animation, interactive media, visual art and design, all the different variations on design, even museum installations and that sort of thing. They are all covered. 3D, immersive, AR, VR, all of those things are covered in this course. So what we look at in the Module 7 is specifically, and then how does generative AI impact this field? Now, as in the other course, AI and mention of AI and the ethics of AI are already embedded in the course well before they get to this. But in this one, they do a deep dive. So I won't read to you what it's, sort of the overall impact here, but there are a number of subtopics that are written that go into depth. And again, it talks about all the different individual separate areas, how AI is being used, because the creative industries are tremendously impacted already by this generative AI. It is now being used in very positive ways to remove a lot of the tedious, time-consuming tasks, and then in ways that really augment what the artists can do, but it's also being used in ways that are taking away jobs. So, and it has also been unethically used in terms of taking the likeness of actors, voice actors who never agreed to this, who suddenly find the AI generations of themselves as the voice of something, or as actors in a game that they never agreed to be in, for example. So really looking at, the impact of the creative industries, what we look at here is really, again, that deep dive into AI and its impact. And again, this is an AI image generated specifically for the course. And I think I have maybe one more slide. So this one delves a bit deeper into what you actually have. And again, this is just like my snapshot of the assignment. Then they get deep, instructions, guidelines, detail, really thorough context, and how are you going to approach this discussion, and what are you going to bring in. But they really have to think about, the ethical implications of AI-generated work. And then they have to find an example, they have to talk about the example, they have to discuss the ethics surrounding that particular issue in the way that Tom was sharing that one example that emerged as part of a conversation like this in the course, in the ethics course. And then the second one is, again, this one is really, they have to experiment with AI to generate a work of art or music. They are incredible tools to do so much in the arts. I mean, it's unbelievable, and they can write entire songs. They can have you performing entire songs on video. If you watched Val's presentation, you saw how they can create your digital twin. So really, it's up to the student and their choice of the field, and we provide them with a wild array of tools and options, but they're free to choose and delve into whichever area they would like to, but they have to create something, share their prompts, and then describe technical, creative, or ethical issues they encountered. So really that, again, starts giving them the skills they will need to take forward, as well as a comprehensive understanding of all these different art forms and disciplines that are covered in the digital media arts, as well as how each of these is affected, at least right now, by the implementation and rapid adoption of AI. I mean, the sound design industry, what's happening with sound engineering, etc. Huge transformation already in terms of what AI is doing.